I can't go that far, but I can't rule it out either.
That's right, that was supposed to go up to
It
the
was.
community center, right?
Community center.
Get the chalk out and do all the numbering,
I know.
right?
Hi there again, D.
Hey, Darren.
Hi. Hey.
You might be right.
Tony got all jittered up because I asked him, I said, Tony, I just wondered, Wednesday is gonna be the end of the year.
So how do we get it? Tim?
Open the barn door.
Where he's gonna be? No, I mean,
I don't know, because she's got numbers.
yeah, Tim?
How we doing, Jamie? Do we have Tim? He's all set both ways? Okay. It could be right after this meeting. All righty, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Please join me in a salute to the flag and a silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, thank you very much. Quick announcement, I think we had a birthday this past week from Cynthia, didn't we? Am I right? A couple of days ago. Happy birthday, Cynthia.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion to accept the town clerk's minutes from November 16th and 29th?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, comments or announcements from town board members?
Yeah, I got something to say.
Craig?
Last week, we got the comp plan, and it was obvious they really put a lot of thought into it. It was excellent, I thought, but there is a few things that have to be addressed in it, but I want to thank everybody that had a hand in it. They did an excellent job. It isn't easy by any means. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Second.
Craig. It was a good committee, so we worked hard. I'm interested to hear what the town board,
And it
Thanks.
reflected that.
yeah.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Darren, I have something. This morning I attended a press conference with Saratoga County Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Todd Kuzniers, Saratoga County Public Health Director, Dr. Kuehls, at 100 Saratoga Village Boulevard. And basically, Saratoga County has opened up a test site, COVID test site, right here in Malta. So they explained that at the press conference, rather, and really excited that we're gonna be able to do this to help lift some of the burden of our local healthcare agencies around in terms of testing. This will be for people that are symptomatic. They will be able to go in and utilize what partnership basically with Saratoga County, the Quadrant Biosciences out of the central to western New York area. And it's an oral type test that you basically administer yourself. And the testing can be done within 5 minutes. You can be in and out. And again, it's right over here, Saratoga Village Boulevard behind Panera's. So it's really encouraging for me that we've got that. Saratoga County has proven once again to be proactive in reacting to the COVID pandemic to make sure that people get tested, especially in the event that they're feeling symptomatic. They're going to be 8 to 4 will be the open hours of operation. They're hoping to be able to treat or test rather 1,000 patients a week. And it will be able to detect any and all variants of the COVID-19, including the Omicron. So all of that I thought was really good news, and really great news, of course, is right here in our own town of Malta. So it was a pleasure to be a part of that and witness, again, proactive measures to treat this.
Thanks very much, Mark. And yeah,
Good to hear.
it's a great development. Testing is critical, so maybe we could spread the word. It's easy. You're not sticking anything up your nose. Todd actually demonstrated, Todd Kuzniers, the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. All you do is you're putting stuff in your mouth, a Q-tip or whatever the heck it is, and you give it to them, and then you've got a result within 24 hours. So it's quick, easy, and, it's a key for people to get tested when it's appropriate.
And just to echo that, Darren, this is Tim. I think one of the things that's flown off under the radar a little bit that Saratoga County has done that I think is pretty fantastic, particularly for those of us that have kids in schools, but the test to stay approach that was, I believe, piloted in South Glens Falls. We were notified that in the Ballston Spa School District that after the Christmas holiday, that's going to be implemented there, so that when there is a positive case, that apparently students and staff that are not symptomatic that test positive can stay in the classroom and not end up getting quarantined. So bravo to the county on both those measures, and good job, Mark and Darren and your colleagues on getting all that done.
Thanks, Tim. And just for your information, that was Tim Dunn. He normally sits here, but he's participating in this meeting through Zoom. Okay. Any other comments from town board members? How about department heads? I think we've been talking throughout the week. I think we're aware of stuff that's going on. Okay, comments or questions from town residents? Would anyone like to address the board at this point? Kathy?
Keeping notes now.
Aha.
Showing my age. Kathy Heitzman, Town of Malta, senior president for the seniors. We had 51 members today, and 14 of us went over to Nanola. So great having these restaurants in town. Out of that group, there was just a straw poll, and none of them wanted the opt-in process for marijuana, just so you know.
They all want us to opt out?
Yes, they all want to opt out. There's nurses, other professionals, people that worked with the police departments, et cetera, and they all had reasons for it, but none of those 14 were in favor. Just, it's a straw poll. I didn't poll all 51 people. We elected a slate of officers today, and we added a new director, Doris Doobie. So we have new workers all the time. I appreciate, Darren, getting the information to me about the COVID booster shots. A lot of my seniors have accessed that, and that's really been a big help. They're calling and thanking all the time. We have 284 members at this time. I just got to take a breath because I remember back at 100 I wanted, right, John? We had 17 new members in the last month, November and December, and that's just the first week. And out of that 17, 13 are from Malta, and several are from High Point. So I'm very proud of that. So I did have 3 seniors call me this week about rides. So I do need that number for the services that we're going to be providing with the tax dollars. So, I need to know how to get that out there so they can get rides. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Kathy. Would anyone else like to address the board at this point? All right, we'll move on to our agenda items. The first item on the agenda is to adopt the sewer district number 2 scale of charges. Do we
So
have a
moved.
Second.
discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Second item on the agenda is the marijuana opt-out provision that's been pending for some time. The first resolution calls for opting out of both the dispensary and the on-site consumption licenses.
I would move
Aaron,
that resolution.
just a
Respectfully
question.
request a second.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Just a question, Darren. I know we have a motion and a second. I was trying to speak up there. Since one would essentially make the other moot, would it perhaps make sense to take up resolution B first and then resolution A, depending on how the votes transpire?
I talked about that with Steve, and I think the idea was that the first resolution opt-out, could be taken up first. And, if that passes, if that doesn't pass, then the second one would be relevant. If it does pass, then it wouldn't. I mean, is that the sense?
Go ahead. I mean, I've made a motion, and I'm asking that my motion be acted on by the board.
I understand that. I was trying to speak up before the motion was made, and I to ask the question so that we could have that clarification. But you spoke over me, so.
Okay, well, but certainly anyone can, in the context of this motion to adopt, the first opt-out of both, the board members can certainly discuss anything they want to discuss that goes to that issue. So,
Correct.
with that, we'll open up the discussion on that issue.
Well, I'll start. Like Kathy, I've asked pretty much everybody that I've come in contact with in the past month about how they feel about the opting out. And maybe, a handful have said they want us to opt out of both. The general consensus for people I've talked to, and, a wide range of people, including, I told Darren I polled our Rotary, they don't necessarily want on-site consumption, but they are concerned that if we opt out of the dispensary, we could conceivably lose out on a possible pretty good revenue generating, thing, like, because we get direct sales tax revenue, as I understand it. We got a lot of flyers recently about no town tax, and there's no guarantee that we're actually gonna get a dispensary in town. But, if we do, like I said, it could be a lot of, could be a pretty good income generating thing. The other thing is, it's my understanding that the Village of Round Lake does not intend to opt out, in which case if they attracted a dispensary, it would still be in Malta, but the town would not have any direct revenue as a result of that dispensary, and I think they'd be soliciting. They want one. So for those reasons, I want to hear what the rest of my colleagues say. I'm leaning towards more opting out of on-site consumption and allowing dispensaries.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks.
I got
Cynthia?
something I got to say. I think we all can agree that the tax benefit is a plus, and the fact that the fentanyl is controlled through that source is a plus also. But it comes with a social cost. It really does. And it's hard to put a dollar factor on it, but it's very real. The other thing is, it seems to be lacking a lot of clarity. And to have us vote and approve something that isn't really defined clearly is uncalled for. It absolutely is. The other thing is my question is when will this state become an advocate for responsible fiscal budgets versus looking for ways to supplement our child's educations through questionable behavior, such as gambling, drugs, etc. Is that the way to fund our child's education? That is not a position to be proud of. How would you explain that to your grandchildren? Maybe there is some. I could not do that. And I think it's time that the state has to be responsible and work with the money that they have and stop finding ways to tax the individual. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Any other board members? Any other discussion?
Yeah, just a couple thoughts on this. I think one of the things that is getting glossed over is that the state has moved to make this substance legal for recreational purposes, to allow possession and sale with some restrictions. And just to clarify and make sure folks know that nothing that we're doing tonight is going to keep marijuana out of the town of Malta. Were we to do nothing, marijuana dispensaries could be located in the town. The town board then very well could put restrictions on the hours of operations of said businesses. We could put, we would certainly be within our power to put use our land use powers to make sure that these are located in places that we feel more comfortable with, or, more appropriately away from areas that we thought were problematic. I think that, we want to make sure that we understand that. I've heard from a lot of folks on this, and probably two people that I've heard from have said they want to see us opt out of dispensaries and on-site consumption. And when I asked the reason why, it kind of went back to what Craig said, is the social impact. I can't speak for anyone else here, but I get very concerned when a government of any kind, local, county, regional, or state or federal, starts legislating social behavior. The state of New York has said that this substance is legal and able to be sold. What this resolution is exercising here is the town restricting the activities of private enterprise, and for what it appears to me to be mainly social purposes or moral purposes. I have a real issue with that. I think in particular when, there's still the ability to buy alcohol and consume alcohol on site in many locations in town, to buy and consume tobacco in many places in town, to do any number of things that are probably just as harmful to an individual from a public health standpoint or probably more harmful from a public health standpoint than marijuana. So I don't really think that there's a great public health benefit for us doing this, because as Cynthia indicated, the village around Lake is going to have the ability to have dispensaries cited. The Boston Spa is going to have the ability to have dispensaries cited. Saratoga Springs is going to have dispensary cited. Clifton Park is going to have, we're going to have literally every community around us is going to have the ability to have dispensaries operate within their borders. I think that, really what we're doing is we're legislating some morality here and really taking a step backwards in terms of business and economic opportunity. We had a lot of discussion recently about public safety, and personally, I would love to see us allow dispensaries here in town and dedicate the revenue that we would receive from the sales tax to getting a committed, dedicated police force in the town of Malta, similar to what they've done in Clifton Park with the county sheriffs. we would have the revenue to do something like that if we were concerned about criminal justice impacts. And then I think finally, my final thought is I've heard some speak on the concerns about people using marijuana and then driving under the influence. Obviously, there are laws against that, and we do have wonderful police in our community that are on top of that. My concern is if we're not allowing it to be sold in town and people are still buying it and using it, we're not really doing anything to prevent people from driving under the influence of marijuana. I'm not a fan of seeing marijuana sold or used anywhere in our community. But the reality is it is right now, and laws that are beyond our control are going to allow that. So, I think from where I sit, and one of the reasons why I wanted to see the resolution B taken up first, because I think that does allow an opportunity for us to consider opting out of on-site consumption, but not dispensaries, and allow those commercial businesses to come in and drive opportunities economically in this town and not have Malta lose out on that. One final thought. One of the discussion points we had previously was trying to determine if there was the ability for the town to allow a referendum on this, or if we were only restricted to a voter determined referendum. What did we find out on that?
Yeah, Tim, under the legislation that was adopted, it allows for referendum only pursuant to Municipal Home Rule 24. The section that would allow the board to do what sometimes called a mandatory referendum is Section 94 of Town Law. That's not contemplated by the present statute, and therefore the town is not able to, in my view, and most others' view of this, send it directly to the voters.
Got it. Thank you. And that's, just my final point, and then I'll be quiet on this, is I think that's also an important point is unlike other, local restrictions that we may put in place, that voters could, that we could allow an opportunity for voters to speak their mind on directly, which I think is a great thing. This would be incredibly difficult for anyone that wants to try to drive a permissive referendum here. It's going to be very difficult to get 700 plus signatures in 45 days over the holidays, and as we're experiencing upticks in COVID. So, it's for those reasons, I just wanted to share those thoughts and really underscore, I share these as my thoughts, as in my sort of philosophical approach. I don't think there's I don't look down on any of my colleagues that might feel differently about this or disagree. Heck, my wife disagrees with me most of the time. So certainly no hard feelings there. But for those reasons, I'll be opposing this resolution, and I hope we'll have an opportunity to vote in the affirmative on the resolution option B. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Okay, just very briefly on my point, I've made my position on this fairly clear. If my years with the state police taught me anything, it taught me that discovering impaired drivers impaired by marijuana is difficult, much more difficult than identifying alcohol-impaired drivers. If there's a danger to our children in a suburban community like Malta, it's impaired drivers. So for that reason, I know that it's the prohibition in New York has been removed. That did nothing for the nationwide federal prohibition. I know the prohibition in New York has been removed, but I don't think there's any point that Malta should join in that. Another very important reason for my vote is going to be that the only way to provide future town boards with flexibility and options to go a different direction if the decision tonight turns out not to be the best one, the only way to do that is to opt out of both. The only way to allow residents to input on this is to opt out of both. So for that reason, my vote is going to be to opt out of both. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Discussion being over, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Got that, Jen? Motion carried. Thanks very much. The next item on the agenda is to award the water sewer engineering services.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item on the agenda is the Luther Forest Athletic Field Improvement Project. And if a motion is made and seconded on this, I plan during the discussion to go through the environmental assessment form factors.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? I might as well go through the factors now unless someone would like to do it in a different order. Okay, I'm looking at part 2 of the short form environmental assessment form. The first question is, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use planning or zoning regulations? And again, this is the lighting of the fields over at the campus of
No.
the softball field, and I think the answer to this is no. The next question, and if anybody wants to opine on any of these, please just pop right in once I go down the litany. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? I think the answer is yes, it will, but it's very minor. It'll light a field and it'll provide some improvements in lighting to pedestrian and to the parking lot area. Next item on the agenda, on the litany is, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? In my view, the answer to that is no. The next is, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? And in part 1, number 7, our engineers indicate that this is not a critical environmental area, so I think the answer to that is no. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? I think the answer, again, is small. There may be some traffic there at night because of the provision of lights, but I think the answer is yes, but small impact, if any. Let's see. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? And I think, yes, it will cause the increase in the use of energy. We've brought in the three-phase electric, I think, right? Three-phase electric. But during the whole process with our engineers and everything, we've looked at ways, any ways we could to minimize the consumption of electricity. We considered the possibility of solar, and it kind of didn't work out to be, feasible in this kind of project. But, the lights will obviously not be on all the time. It's a safety provision, and so I think the answer is no or small impact. The next item is, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater treatment utilities? And I think the answer is no to both. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? And I think that's answered by the LA Group's letter on page 1. Where they discuss the archaeological services, there's a buffer in there, and so I think we're safe on those grounds. So I think the answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna? I think the answer again is no, and I'd point to page 2 of our engineer's letter. We have wetlands, in the area, but they are not on the site, and there's, adequate protection for them. Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? I think the answer is no. And lastly, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? And I think the answer is, again, no. Our engineers examined the whole rocket, Malta rocket fuel area. It's on the adjoining property. It's contained. There's periodic testing. DEC has been all over it. And so that problem has been dealt with. And it's not on this property anyway. It's across the street. So again, I think the answer is no. And that does it for the environmental assessment form analysis under SECRA. So do we have any other discussion on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, carried by a 4-to-1 vote. Next item on the agenda is to authorize the Shazen Engineering Global Foundries 2022 Inspection Services
So
contract.
moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next item on the agenda is to renew the Actuary Fire Service Award Program with Penflex. They've been doing this for us for a while.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item is to establish the 2022 wage and salary structure.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item is to establish the wage and salary schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item is to authorize a vacation carryover for a handful of employees who were not able to take the vacation time available during the year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item is to authorize the collection of real property tax and water charges versus via internet kind of electronic payments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The next item on the agenda is to appoint Kara Sherman in our planner, as a planner in our Building and Planning Office.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Kara, you're here, right? Congratulations, Kara. We're thrilled to have you joining the Malta family, so welcome. All right, the next item on the agenda is to approve a Multiville water grant application.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item on the agenda is to approve a settlement of the tax cert litigation regarding the church property on Route 67.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next item, Kevin, I think we have some budget transfers. Do we have a motion on that?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next item is to deal with the comp plan review. And as Craig mentioned earlier, thank you very much to every member of that volunteer committee. You did a spectacular job. And this discussion is to kind of figure out a way we should move forward with that. And, you know, should we try to schedule something in December, or should we wait until the next board takes over on January 1st?
I would respectfully suggest we have a new town supervisor. We have, new town councilman that'll be seated in January. I really feel, who are going to actually have to, go through the process of making decisions on this. And I would like to respectfully defer to the new town board, who will actually decide what happens with this document, the process that they would like to follow to get to that decision point. And for that reason, I think we respectfully would be appropriately counseled to wait until January and let the next board take the matter up.
We've waited this long. What's another couple weeks? I think I agree with John. I think we've got new folks coming in. Let's give them a chance to get their heads around this and start the wheels turning from there.
Craig, you good with that?
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. And again, thank you very much to the committee, and, we'll look forward to the boards dealing with that after January 1st. Okay, the next item on the agenda, and I'm sorry I had to add these two items today. They just kind of came up as a sort of immediate need. One is to plug a little hole we have created by a temporary absence from an employer. We need a cleaner, and we're worried about the snow coming in and our maintenance department able to deal with that. And it's going to be difficult when the snow comes in for them to deal with both the cleaning and maintenance and snow removal in parking lots and stuff like that. So this resolution would authorize the appointment of a temporary part-time cleaner up until the end of February.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the next item we need to add tonight is for the board to authorize, if they so choose, leave donations given by various employees to an employee who has an extended sick leave problem and may lose some of the leave time that person has. This resolution that I circulated today would authorize the leave donations for this particular absent employee.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Can you do one moment? I haven't had a chance to read this resolution. I want to make sure. I know it's pretty
Sure, Tim.
straightforward, but I missed this in email traffic today. Just
Okay.
Give me 1 second. If I can get my computer to open it.
Kevin, we've done this before, right?
There's been a handful, maybe 2 to 3 times it's been utilized in the past.
But there's nothing in the manual that covers this. So
Yes.
It has to be done,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
it has to be done piecemeal every time somebody requests it, because it's not in the employee manual, right?
Well, the manual states the town board must approve it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Darren. I'm all set.
Okay, any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, any other town business? Okay, any other comments or questions from town residents? Yes, Travis.
Thank you, Travis Feely, Four Hills Road. Needless to say, I'm disappointed in the vote today on the opting out, but irregardless of that, I just want to clarify a few things on what we have to do at this point. So the petitioning, if I'm correct, it's about 711 signatures. Does everybody know that number off the top of their head by any
I
chance?
mean, I think that's it, Travis, but, don't take my word
Sure.
for it. You really got to check the statute and everything.
And then is there a specific format for the petition?
It's not, I don't think, Travis, this is just my own opinion.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate for us to now get involved in the petitioning process. It's supposed to be initiated by the people. And
Well,
for the town board to guide it and,
Well,
I
I'm
really
just
don't
asking
think.
because if there's a specific, format that the board needs,
It
if
would
you
be
want
a
to just
legal
run around and
requirement.
get.
Yeah, it would be a legal requirement. There's a legal process.
Okay.
And I really don't think this town board should be guiding you on how to follow that legal process. It's up to you and anybody else who has the prerogative to initiate that petition process to figure out how it works. I don't think we want to be, putting our hand into that, democratic process.
Yeah, just my legal experience makes me agree with John on that.
Sure.
We don't want to be in a position where, we make a mistake and we make a recommendation that it has to be done one way, and then all of a sudden we happen to be wrong on that and it has to be done another way, and then we're in trouble,
Yeah.
So we need to kind of, be away from that conversation.
Understandable.
Sure.
Understandable, rather. And I just want to clarify a few things from the last board meeting when we were kind of unsure whether or not future boards can actually do something, like say 6 years down the road, we have a completely new board. Can the board actually bring this up and say, we want to change this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
To be clear, though, that would just be a board action. That would not be putting it up for the voter approval.
Correct.
Okay, but we have 45 days from today, essentially, right, to collect the signatures?
Again, I don't know if it's today or some other defined date when the thing is filed or something like that, but it's a 45 days. I understand the statute, but again, that's something, you don't want to miss that deadline if
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. So you really got to,
Work
satisfy
on a shorter
yourself.
timeframe.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then, yeah, so the interpretation is that the board cannot make a motion to put this to referendum, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I would have loved to do that, as I've stated several times.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Travis. Anyone else? Yes? Is that you, Rick?
Yep.
Hey, how you doing?
My neighbor, former neighbor.
Yeah?
I listened to your environmental impact review for the lighting of the ball field, and I think it's great that the town decided to light the ball field. I think that's top notch. One thing that I would ask that you consider in the future, when you said solar wouldn't work for that particular site, maybe you would consider an offset where you would look for other opportunities in the town where solar would work, where you could offset the consumption for the lights, so that you'd have a net zero increase in energy consumption. So I would consider that. And the other thing that I would say, and is that I was here almost 4 years ago when this young woman was seated on the board, and I wanted to come tonight because I wanted to thank her for her service. And it's been my pleasure to know you, and I think you've done a heck of a job, and I really want to thank you from.
Thank you,
me.
Rick.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you, it means a lot.
Absolutely. Kathy?
Yes, a different hat, Historic Preservation Review Commission. We are always looking for members, so I'd like to get that out to the public as whatever way we can. We need people that are interested in history, that have expertise in architecture, insurance, lawyers, attorneys, anybody. Just people off the street. We'll talk to you. Let's see if we can't get together and save some homes. With that being said, the broom factory was driven through by an impaired driver, and I guess we're in pieces of it, from what I understand, and the sign has not been recovered yet. So I just wanted to let the town board, if
Did
they
they
weren't
take the
aware.
sign out too?
I guess the sign has not been recovered.
It was all taken out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they drove through the east and west walls right through. So,
Yeah, so. that
yeah, so
sounds
we lost a
perfect
historic
itself.
building,
Yeah.
so hopefully we'll be able to do something about that.
Mark says we're gonna fix it.
I'm all in favor of that, if we can resurrect it
I'm hopeful.
someplace.
I was talking with
Perfect.
Paul Peralt earlier today.
Okay, thank you.
Several times about what we can, if anything, do
Right.
to shore it up and keep
Right.
it safe above all right now, and also keep parts that we do have safe. So I'm not giving up hope yet.
Good, and I don't know if they've found the driver, but hopefully we can recover cost
What
of
I
some
gather,
kind.
they do know
Yeah.
who the driver
I was
is.
gonna say, probably didn't go much farther than through the wall,
He
so.
did not.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if it weren't for COVID, I think that broom factory would have already been removed and placed in a different site in Malta by now. So unfortunately, that got totally squandered when COVID came along. I think it's we're going to stabilize that building to make sure it doesn't fall into the road and create a hazard. And that'll just kind of stabilize the situation for the, town and other powers that be to examine what to do with it. Thanks, Kathy. Any other comments? All righty.
If I can just take a minute, it's just to say a few words. As you know, the structure of our meetings are, we take action at our meeting, the first meeting of the month, and our last meeting of the month, our second meeting, is just discussion. I don't, unless we actually have action, since I won't be part of the decision-making, I probably won't be part of that meeting, so this will be my last meeting. I think anybody that even has met me knows that this is I'm very sad to be turning this chapter, this page in this chapter. I've loved being on the town board. It's been an honor to serve with my colleagues up here. I think we all worked well together. We didn't always agree, but we listened. I felt like we always listened to each other. We didn't let any of our political differences get in the way of good governing, and like I said, it's been an honor to serve. Also, the staff. I mean, this place doesn't run by us. It runs by the staff, and they really do all the hard work, and, hopefully make us look good up here. I've appreciated the time and the patience, particularly the planning department. I have learned so much about planning and zoning, and more than I ever wanted to know about traffic. And not, having learned a lot in the last 4 years is important, so thank you. Every member of the staff has been great. I'm going to continue, of course, you can't get rid of me that easy. I'm going to continue at least to be a part of the master plan. I'll come to workshops and stuff when I'm able. I'm going to continue to be an advocate for emergency services and preserving our open space, which are two things that are important to me. And last, but not least, I want to thank all of the residents of Malta that put their trust in me 4 years ago and allowed me to the honor of serving. So with that, I'd like to make a motion we adjourn.
Second?
Discussion? Well, the discussion would be, I think, Cynthia, be assured that you have the heartfelt thanks of the entire town, so.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn? Aye. Aye.